having a damn good day. Welcome back to the channel, and we're going to be breaking down ways that you can replicate and recreate David Moyes' set of tactics in the game FC24. That's right, the 4-2-3-1 formation that West Ham tend to go with more times than not. We're going to be looking to replicate that in FC24. So, as you can see right here, we've got Antonio up front, we've got James Ward-Prowse just in behind him, we've got Paquetá, we've got Bowen, Suchek and Alvarez in the midfield, we've got Agurd and Zuma as the two centre-backs, Soufal and Emerson as the full-backs, and then between the sticks, we've got Areola. On the bench, we've got Benrahma, Ings, Kudus, Coventry, Fabianski, Kera, and then Mavropanos, and then in the reserves, we've got Fornells, Ogbonna, Mumba, who I'm pretty sure I've heard West Ham fans say that he's a very good young talent, so we'll have to keep an eye on him for the future. As for Cresswell, he's also in the reserves, and then a few other players I don't care to mention. I mean, Johnson's pretty decent, Cornet's pretty decent, but the rest, they're not too great themselves. So as you can see right here, I've gone with a 4-2-3-1 wide formation. It makes the most sense. It's one goalkeeper, two centre-backs, two full-backs, two DMs, one attacking midfielder, two wide midfielders, and then one striker. So for the tactics going forward, the tactical vision I have decided to go with that best replicates what West Ham look to do on a day-to-day basis on the field. They look to try and implement a counter-attacking system. Sit back, sit deep, control the defensive side of things a bit more, make sure that they're nice and compact, and look to try and hit teams on the break with the pace of Bowen or Mikel Antonio or potentially a Kudus now. So they do have those fast players that they can look to launch the ball into the front line with. So that's why I've gone with counter-attack. As for the defensive style, it's set to drop back. David Moyes, he likes to implement this style more times than not, especially against the bigger teams or the teams that he knows are going to try and dominate the ball as much as possible. Rather keep your defensive shape, your structure, make sure it's hard to break down, hard to get those balls in between the lines, and that's what West Ham do very, very well, especially this season. I've been very impressed with their style of football in terms of they know what they're good at and they're not going to try and do too much other than that. Then they're going to beat teams that way. As for the team width, it's 6-25, like I said earlier. Nice compact system, making sure it's hard to play between the lines. It's hard for players to get in those little pockets of space or potentially find passes in those half spaces that are created. And it's just a very tough team to try and break down on the defensive side of things. As for the depth though, it's set to 45. It's not the highest of lines. It's nice. It protects the backline more times than not. It protects the likes of Zuma, Mavropanos potentially, or even Agurd. They're not the fastest of players. And you don't need to have a very high line with this team going forward. As for the build-up play, it is set to long ball. It makes the most sense, counter-attacking, soak up pressure, and then hit that long ball forward. You want to try and get the ball into the likes of James Ward-Prowse or potential Paquetá. Try and launch that ball into the front line, onto your oncoming runners, your forward line essentially. And speaking of your forward line, you want them set to be on forward runs, making those runs in behind, trying to exploit the back line more times than not. And then as for the width, it's a nice widespread team when you have the ball, when you progress with it forward, higher up the field. It's a nice widespread team. You want to try to work the ball either to your fullbacks or your wingers to try and supply crosses into the box for your forwards. And then as for players in the box, it is set to 6. You want 3 players in, 3 players, or 4 players in and around the box, try and, either win the ball back and then knock it back into the box with a cross, or trying to supply another potential player making that run into the attacking third. But you want to try and fill those spaces with attacking players, and that's why I've gone with 3. More times than not, it will be the likes of a Suchek if he is on the field, Mikel Antonio, and then maybe one of your wingers. And then as for corners and free kicks, as per always, it is set to 4. So for the instructions going forward, we'll start off with the goalkeeper. He's set to come for crosses, very decent with the ability to claim those aerial balls. He doesn't do too much wrong. I mean, Areola, he's played for Real Madrid, he's played for PSG, so he must be a very good goalkeeper. Now he plays for West Ham. He's their out-and-out number 1 now that Fabianski's out, or getting older, I should say. So I think he's done a very good job to start off the season with. I mean, saved penalties, he's been very good with claiming those aerial crosses, which is why I've gone with him to come for crosses, be very dominant in the air. He is also very tall, by the way. I'm pretty sure he's like 6'4" or 5 maybe, so he is very, very tall. I mean, most goalkeepers are, but he is quite tall. And then as for setting outside the box, you don't really need him making those saves or coming off of his line too much. You are playing a low block at times, so the likes of Zuma are good, and your midfield should be able to do a decent enough job in order for him to not have to make runs off of his line. And then speaking of Zuma and Agurd, they are set to their base set of instructions. You don't want them doing too much. You don't want them coming off or chasing the ball too much, or potentially being out of position. You want them to be nice, structurally sound, compact at the back, and make sure everything is taking over quite well. As for Sufal and Emerson, they've got the same set of instructions. Both are essentially having a balanced attack, so sometimes making those advanced runs forward, looking to try and supply the forwards with crosses, other times looking just to stay back a bit more. But you will see here that their run type is set to overlap. They will always look to overlap either winger, whether it's the left or the right-hand side. They'll look to make those overlapping runs, creating space down either flank when they do advance higher up the field. And as you can see here, for Emerson, he's got the same set of instructions as well as both of them are set to stick to position. You don't want them being too aggressive or stepping out of position more times than not. You want them to, again, just like your centre-backs, be nice and compact at the back, making sure that they don't do too many things wrong. Now, moving on into our midfield, we've got a new signing here, Alvarez. He has done a very, very good job. Now, I do know that a lot of Ajax fans did not like him whilst he was playing for Ajax because he wasn't very good on the ball, this and the other. But at West Ham, he's found such a good role in just being able to break up play and then lay it off to either a James Ward-Prowse or a Souček, and they'll look to advance the ball higher up the field. I quite like that role for him. He's done a very, very good job just being the thorn in the offensive's or the opposition's offensive build-up play on their side, and it makes a lot of sense for him in this role. So he's set to cut past lanes, stay back while attacking. Like I say, he's going to man that back line, be like the undoubted shield of the back four at times. Aggressive interceptions, though, they are going to be set to be on, stick to position, and then cover the centre. Then moving on to Souček, he's set to having a balanced defensive support in terms of his defensive behaviour, sometimes looking to tightly mark his man, other times looking to intercept and cut out passes. So he'll have a very mixed bag of results for that, as well as his attacking support. Sometimes looking just to play a bit deeper, other times looking to get on the ball and progress it high up the field, playing as the box-to-box role. You do want him to more times not get into the box for his attacking outlets. I mean, he is very good at latching onto headers and scoring them, of course. Aggressive interceptions as well are set to be on for him, and then be the deep line playmaker and cover the wing. Higher up the field, though, we've got James Ward-Prowse in the advanced position. He does have a few positions in this team, or one other position I can say, where he does play a bit lower, and we will go over that very, very shortly. But for the attacking version of James Ward-Prowse, he is set to come back on defence, often linking up play very nicely with the two centre defensive midfielders, dropping a bit deeper, getting on the ball, and then looking to play the ball higher up the field, will be the bit more of the playmaker going forward. He's also set to having a balanced run in terms of his support on crosses, sometimes hanging in and around the box, other times making those deeper runs into the attacking third. As well as he's set to stick to position, so he's not going to look to pop up in the little pockets of space. He's going to look just to play as the out-and-out number 10, and then his interceptions are set to normal. Out wide, though, to Lucas Paquetá, he's set to come back on defence, always looking to help the fullbacks. I have seen that when the opposition, especially in the Newcastle game, when the opposition had the ball deep in the West Ham box, what they would do is the fullbacks would look to try and tuck in as much as possible, as well as the wingers would look to try and drop as deep as possible, playing as wing-backs and trying just to stop crosses being fired in from either flank. And that's what you're trying to more or less recreate with this. So come back on defence, free roam for Paquetá, and as well as having a balanced approach for his support on crosses or runs. You don't really want him always trying to exploit the backline with his pace. He doesn't have that much pace as is. You more or less want him to try and operate more centrally at times, coming into the midfield, linking up play very nicely. And then normal interceptions are set to be on for him, as well as get into the box. You want him attacking that final ball that will inevitably be delivered into the attacking third. As well as Bowen on the right-hand side, he is set to come back on defence, having a balance with this time. Sometimes having the touch on, other times looking to cut inside and create scoring opportunities either for himself or for others. And then, as for his support on crosses, you want him to try and exploit the backline on the right-hand side, getting in behind, looking to burn pace down that right flank. And then aggressive interceptions are set to be on for him, as well as, just like with the other winger, getting into the box to try and attack that ball. Finally, we've got Mikel Antonio. He's set to stay central and have a mixed attack, sometimes looking to hold up play quite well. He's very good at doing so. He's very strong as well for his age. He is aged like flying wine, you could say. He's also very good at making those runs in behind, latching onto those big balls that do get fired in over the top for him to try and exploit the opposition with. And then normal interceptions, though, they are set to be on, as well as come back on defence. You do like to see him dropping off more times and not trying to link up play, hold up play slightly deeper in the field and have others be linked up or linking up with others in and around him slightly deeper. So if you do rotate your team, and we have seen the likes of James Ward-Prowse playing as the right-sided DM, we have seen Paquetá playing more centrally with the likes of Kudus and Benrahma either side of him, as well as Bowen playing slightly higher up the field as that striker. I think going forward, Moyes will look to more or less try and phase out the likes of Mikel Antonio and more or less try and play the likes of Jared Bowen in that team higher up the field, because you've just gone and signed Mohamed Kudus for what was it, like 45 million? I don't think you're going to bench him going forward. So I do think that this will be the team going forward, and with this set of instructions. So James Ward-Prowse playing slightly deeper this time. He's set to cut past lanes, have a balanced attack, also looking to be that bit more of that box-to-box player. Normal interceptions this time will be set to be on. You don't want him chasing the ball too much and more or less bouncing out of position sometimes. Be the deep line playmaker. It makes the most sense. Get the ball into James. He's going to look to try and spray it forward to his forwards, his runners in behind, and then cover the wing as well. Into Paquetá though, he's set to have a basic defensive support, not coming back as much, but he can do so, as well as having the ability to try and stay high up the field for those counter-attacks, for him to potentially latch onto a ball from Alvarez or James Ward-Prowse and then look to try and supply the other oncoming runners. As for his support on crosses, you don't really want him making those runs into the final third. You want him more or less trying to be the playmaker in and around the box with the likes of James Ward-Prowse. And then for his defensive positioning, I've set him to free roam. You want him to pop up in those little half spaces, those little pockets of space that are generated in and around the attacking third or in and around the final third of the field. And then normal interceptions are set to be on for him. As for Benrahma, he's got a slightly differing role to what Paquetá does, but he's set to come back on defense as per always, having a balance with this time. Sometimes looking to stay wide, hug the touchlines, other times looking to come inside and create shot opportunities either for himself or for others. And then his support on crosses, or his supporting runs, I should say, is set to having a balanced approach as well. Also, sometimes looking to come short, be a bit more involved in the builder play. Other times, looking to try and exploit the opposition's backhand by making those runs in behind. We have seen Benrahma is one of my low-key favorite players to watch because I love him so much. That's how good he can be, and that's how good he's shown to be in certain moments for West Ham. And then we've got him set to aggressive interceptions, constantly looking to try and press the backline in certain moments, and then get into the box for those crosses. On the right-hand side, we've got a very exciting signing, Mohamed Kudus, a very outlandish signing, you could say, from West Ham, but I like it a lot. He recently scored his first goal the other day against Newcastle, so it was a good shot, good, well taken, well hit, everything. So he's set to come back on defense, cut inside and get in behind, making those arcing runs as the right winger, getting it onto his left, his more favoured foot, getting it onto the left foot and then taking shots. Trying to sometimes be a bit more of a playmaker, but more times than not he's going to try and create shot opportunities for himself, and then aggressive interceptions and get into the box are set for him. And then finally we've got Jarrod Bowen as the striker. He's set to having a balanced width for his support runs, sometimes looking to arc his runs in or out of the box, making those wider angled runs to try and latch onto those loose balls. Getting in behind though is essential. It's going to use the best aspects of what Jarrod Bowen has to offer the team, his pace, the ability to get in behind and trying to exploit the opposition's backline at times. Normal interceptions though, they are set to be on for him, and then basic defensive support is also set to be on. You don't really want him staying too far forward, you want him to be a bit more involved in the build-up play, and then having the ability to sometimes drop off the backline, pull players out of position, and then open up space for others. And then finally, we have one last change to make. Souček, he played against Newcastle as the advanced number 10, and he is set to come back on defense, get into the box, of course, trying to latch onto those crosses that will be fired in, and then stick to position. You don't really want him drifting left or right or popping up little pockets of space. You want him being number 10, making advanced runs into the final third, and then in terms of his interceptions, it is set to normal. So yes, my dudes, that is my version of David Moyes' 4-2-3-1 with a few changes here and there if you do look to try and rotate the team. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, hit that like button, that would be fan-damn-tastic. I do have something special planned for Thursday, so stay tuned for that. Keep the bell notification on, it could be great, but Thursday, it's a very special set of tactics for yours truly. So I will be hoping that can do well, and if it does, we will look to continue it a bit more. So until the next time, I hope you have a damn great day. I'm out.